How exactly is a political attack put together? What are the moving parts? Well, today, we're going to deconstruct a recent commentary from Davis Hanson about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Now, we're not here to get into the politics of it all. Instead, we're going to map out the structure of his argument. See how it's built from the ground up, from that first accusation all the way to his final, pretty surprising conclusion. So let's dive in.
So every argument needs a starting point, right? A spark. And for Hanson, that fuse was lit by one single, pretty explosive comment that he attributes to the Congresswoman. This is the very beginning of the whole thing.
Okay, so this is it. This is the alleged comment that really becomes the cornerstone for everything Hanson is about to say. He immediately frames it as something that, just completely goes against that core American legal idea of innocent until proven guilty. So this quote, it isn't just a starting point, it's literally the foundation for the entire argument he's about to build.
All right, now watch this. This is where things get interesting. Instead of just reacting to the comment, Hanson pivots. He launches this kind of two-pronged counterattack. This is the moment where he totally flips the script, stops playing defense, and starts building his own, much bigger case.
So, Hanson's first counter is all about the facts, specifically about timing. He brings up this 2006 archive that he says had just come to light, and in it, Trump apparently warns about Jeffrey Epstein years before his conviction. The quote Hanson uses is, "You gotta get this guy out of here." So for Hanson, this piece of evidence is a direct shot at the entire premise of the accusation against Trump.
His second counter is a bit different. It's more thematic. Hanson really zooms in on that alleged statement, "At least in Somalia, we execute pedophiles." And he starts questioning the logic there. Like, why praise the system in Somalia, a country his analysis says her family actually fled from, while at the very same time criticizing the U.S.? He really presents this as a major fundamental contradiction in her whole position.
And boom, here's where the argument takes a really sharp turn. See, Hanson isn't satisfied with just a rebuttal. He asks a much bigger question. He starts suggesting that all this reckless talk, it isn't just about politics. He thinks there's something else going on, some kind of hidden motivation. And this is the point where his argument transforms from a simple response into a full-blown theory. So what is this hidden motivation he's talking about? Well, Hanson's theory isn't about political ideology at all. Nope. He argues it's about two really powerful external pressures that he believes are closing in on the Congresswoman. Okay, so the first pressure, according to him, is all about money. It's financial. Hanson points directly to her official financial disclosure, and he highlights what he calls this sudden and really dramatic spike in her net worth.
And the number he throws out there, it's pretty staggering. Hanson gets specific. He says that, according to her financial statement, she could be worth up to $30 million. And he uses that exact figure to really drive home the massive scale of this alleged financial change. Now, to put that number in perspective, Hanson paints this really stark before and after picture. He claims that just the year before, she reported having, and I'm quoting here, almost no money. So he then starts asking, okay, where did this new wealth come from? He points to her husband's businesses and basically suggests that a jump this big, this fast, really needs some kind of explanation. All right, pressure number two. According to Hanson, this one is legal. He draws a line connecting her to a massive fraud investigation going on in Minnesota's Somali community. And his argument is that this investigation is now getting, in his words, very close to her. And to back up this claim of her connection, Hanson uses this direct quote. He's basically arguing that because she positioned herself as the face of the Somali immigrant, she can't just easily back away or distance herself when a huge scandal like this pops up from inside that very community. At least that's his view.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got the initial comment, the rebuttal, and these two alleged pressures, one financial, one legal. Now Hanson takes all these pieces and weaves them together into a single cohesive theory about her state of mind and what's really motivating her.
And that brings us to Hanson's grand finale, his main conclusion. He argues that these reckless comments, they aren't some calculated political strategy. No, he says they're a sign of pure desperation. He puts forward this theory that the combination of the financial questions and this fraud case getting closer are making her desperate and afraid. And in his view, that is what's causing her to make these really extreme statements.
And there you have it. That's the anatomy of the argument. It kicks off with a single comment, pivots to a rebuttal, and then builds this whole theory of personal motivation to try and explain everything. If we step back from the specific politics for a second, Analyzing this structure really shows us how a lot of modern political attacks are put together. They often move away from debating policy and shift into these personal narratives. And that leaves us with a bigger question to chew on. What does this shift from policy to personal really tell us about the state of our political conversations today?